On the occasion of International Day of Vesak, the Permanent Mission of India is pleased to welcome one and all to today's panel discussion on Teachings of Gautama Buddha, a Path to Internal and Global Peace. The world celebrated Buddha Purnima, or Vesak, on 12th May, a day most sacred to Buddhists. Buddhists commemorate the birth of the Buddha, his attainment of enlightenment, and his passing away on that day. The teachings of Lord Buddha offer profound wisdom that resonates with our current era of global uncertainty. His teachings emphasize on compassion, nonviolence, mindfulness, and the interdependence of all beings. It offers transformative insights for addressing complex global challenges. Therefore, the International Day of Vesak presents an opportune moment for global reflection on the universal values of peace, mutual respect, and harmonious coexistence. With this, let me invite your attention to a short video clip on Vesak. Allow me to now invite the permanent representative of India to the UN, His Excellency Ambassador Harish Parvataneni to give the welcome remarks. Sir.
Excellencies, Professor Abhay Kumar Singh, Vice Chancellor of Nalanda University in India, Dr. Santosh Kumar Raut, Visiting Professor, Harvard Divinity School, colleagues and friends, dear permanent representatives, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me great pleasure to welcome you today to celebrate the International Day of Vesak and discuss the relevance of the life and teachings of Lord Buddha, whose message of compassion, non-violence, and wisdom offers us a path to inner and global peace in a world beset with crisis and suffering. In the recognition that there is no path to peace, but peace itself is the path. The path of Buddha offers us practical means to develop lasting peace within ourselves as also the external world. At its core, Buddhism is a religion of peace, having a holistic view of peace instead of peace in separate silos, and is guided by the twin imperatives of avoiding harm and suffering and seeking maximal happiness to all sentient beings. The Buddha espoused four noble truths: the Chaturarya Satya, first; the Dukkha Satya, that life inevitably involves suffering; second, the Samudaya Satya, that suffering originates in our desires; the third, the Nirodha Satya, that suffering will cease if desires cease; and fourth, the Marga Satya, that this state can be realized by engaging in the noble eightfold path. Buddhism believes that achieving inner peace is dependent on mental development, the Chitta Bhavana, which is the development of compassion, joy, and mindfulness; and intellectual development, or Panna Bhavana, which is the development of wisdom through meditation. Similarly, peace in the external world is dependent on physical development, or Kaya Bhavana, which is the development of our material and physical environment. And finally, social development, or Srila Bhavana, which is the friendly relations with others by observing Buddha's teachings on social justice. Friends, I'm always amazed that Buddhism has a graded effort in achieving peace along what in today's terminology we call the peace continuum. Let us examine this in some detail. The first effort in Buddhism is to achieve inner peace, intrapersonal peace. The starting point here is a belief that inner peace is not so much dependent on what happens outside us, but how and with what attitude we react to it, what comprehension and response we bring to bear. It calls for insightful meditation, or vipassana, to develop inner reflection and cultivating what are called as the four Brahma Viharas, or positive emotional faculties: metta, loving kindness; karuna, or compassion; mudita, or sympathetic joy; and upeksha, or equanimity. From the first step, the Buddhism goes to the second level, which is a practice of interpersonal peace, the peace to be established between human beings with each other. Here it calls for following the eightfold path towards enlightenment. Many of us were there in yesterday's function. We heard about it yesterday. Right understanding, right thought, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. Lord Buddha also prescribed what he called as the Panchashila, or the 5 precepts or minimum moral obligations for establishing interpersonal peace among human beings: abstaining from taking life, abstaining from theft, abstaining from sensuous misconduct, abstaining from lies or false speech, and from intoxicants. This, at a minimum, is what can be called the daily practice of peace. At a third level, Buddhism has brought in the practice of in-group peace. How do we establish peace within a society, within a nation, within a group? Lord Buddha here taught us that one must adhere to the 6 principles of cordial behavior to prevent harm and to prevent conflict. 3 of these call for maintaining loving kindness and compassion towards other members of a group, a society, or a nation, through physical actions, through verbal actions, and through mental actions. The 4th calls for sharing material gains with all other members of the group, for a fair distribution of resources. The 5th calls for following the same code of conduct or legal systems in the country. And finally, the 6th calls for evolving similar views and building consensus by constructively dealing with differences and deviance to minimize suffering and destruction. And finally, we come to the fourth level in Buddhism, which is the practice of intergroup, or what we call today as international peace. The peace between groups, between nations, at an international level or a regional level. This is the last level representing cultivation of peace and compassion among societies and nations. There is a recognition, while the transformative impact of loving kindness may work in the relationship between individuals, in interpersonal relationships, sometimes interstate relations may appear immune when rulers and decision makers must deter aggression and a calculated pursuit of violence. In today's world, both by state and non-state actors, whether impelled by political goals such as territorial expansion or domination, or by deviant non-state actors and terrorists who sow fear and destruction due to their deviant belief systems. The focus here is on the fact that the ethical quality of our action is to be determined not only by its conformity to formal rules, but also by the intention or motivation that lies behind it. When the motivation of our rulers is to protect lives, to prevent harm, the ruler or decision maker must place the greater good above adherence to the letter of the principle of non-violence. In Buddhism, the Jataka tales, such as the Ummagga Jataka, excel in illustrating the ethical virtues of minimizing harm in situations of statecraft, when the motive is national defense, protecting citizens, and preventing the suffering of citizens. Such ethical guardrails in Buddhism were further strengthened through a clear demarcation of what constitutes wholesome actions, termed kushala, or unwholesome actions, termed ukushala, with the former bringing about long-term happiness of all, and the latter bringing about long-term suffering. Buddhism has put in place 10 ethical principles in the exercise of state power, the Dasaraja Dharma. It calls for dana, or charitability, shila, or virtuous conduct, parityaga, or sacrifice, ajjava, or uprightness, madhava, or mildness, tapa, or austerity, akrodha, or the absence of anger, avihimsa, or non-injury, khanti, or patience, and avirodhana, or non-retaliation. All of these are intended to minimize suffering and conflict and enhance happiness through righteous state behavior. The ideal of the ethical ruler, the Dharmika Dharmaraja, in Buddhist canonical teachings, find their ideal manifestation in the life of Emperor Ashoka, the Chakravarti, the universal emperor, who applied Buddhist teachings for personal transformation and thereafter brought about inner peace, interpersonal peace, and finally, peace within his own kingdom, and finally, international peace by spreading the message of Buddha worldwide. Friends, in today's world, beset by the scourge of terrorism that threatens peace and happiness at an individual level, at a societal level, at national and international levels, enhancing our individual and collective suffering, it is instructive for us to look at how Lord Buddha dealt with the feared killer, and in today's vocabulary, one could call him a terrorist, Angulimala. Knowing the manner in which the thief Angulimala spread fear and terror by cutting off the fingers and using them as a garland around his neck, Lord Buddha reached out to him with his message of loving compassion and kindness, enabling him to deal with the pain of his past and help renounce violence. Angulimala became a monk and took the name of Ahimsaka, or the non-violent one. This transformative power of Buddhism is not limited to individuals, but it can change societies, it can change nations, and indeed the whole world. Speaking on the occasion of Buddha Purnima, my Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi, lauded the path of peace illuminated by Lord Buddha, noting that the path of peace traverses through strength and resilience. It is vital that all of us, at an individual and national levels, must build strength and resilience and cultivate compassion and loving kindness, not only to deter conflict, but to transform mindsets, to transform deviance, so that humanity can progress towards peace and prosperity. Sarve jana sukhino bhavantu. May all sentient beings be happy. Thank you once again for your patient hearing.
Thank you, sir, for those insightful words. We are honored to have the interim Vice Chancellor of Nalanda University, Dr. Abhay Kumar Singh, joining us virtually. Nalanda University, dear friends, is a preeminent academic institution in India involved in the study and research of Buddhist thought and practice. Sir, I give the floor to you.
Thank you very much. Excellencies, our permanent representative, Ambassador Harish Ji, the honorable participants, Professor Rao, distinguished scholars and honorable officers of the Indian Mission and other countries, Namaskar and greetings on the International Day of Vesak. It's an honor and privilege for me to interact with you all, and I request you to pardon me for not being physically present before you and joining by virtual mode. The brilliant exposition and a comprehensive survey made by Honorable Ambassador Shri Harish Ji, of course, is a very fine introduction to the whole subject. Yet, allow me to speak something on the golden mean to global peace. It's a pleasure to recall Buddha's words as recorded in the Samyutta Nikaya. Victory gives rise to hatred. The defeated dwell in pain. Happily, the peaceful live, giving up victory and defeat. The message is clear. Peace is not born out of conquest, but from renunciation of the very notions of victory and defeat. As the world grapples with conflicts, hatred and disharmony, the principles of Buddha's Dhamma offer the option or the right path of peace and compassion. It is time that the world community should infuse certain principles from Buddha's teachings in the policies and international transactions to help achieve global peace. Dhamma is not passive. It shows actionable values and livable ideals. It offers a quiet but profound moral compass. Buddha's Dhamma was not bound by geographical or political frontiers, and over the ages has attained universality, transcending cultural and national barriers, and touching lives in all Asia and beyond with much acceptance. Buddha's wisdom emphasizes moderation, ethics, and the core values of humanity, and thus it appeals to all. A life rooted in moderation, the Madhyamaka Marga, the middle way, and ethical conduct towards both fellow beings and towards nature, allows celebrating life and sustaining peace, which has universal value and is globally true. Two great events, Lord Buddha's enlightenment at Bodh Gaya and the Dharma Chakra Pravartana at Sarnath, has endowed India with the sacred responsibility of preserving and promoting his noble values, which a large number of Indian rulers and commoners over the ages conscientiously fulfilled by living the Dhamma way and spreading Dhamma teachings far beyond the Indian subcontinent. It was destiny's choice that more than 2,500 years ago, the omniscience and wisdom embodied in Gautama Buddha, the light of Asia is spread across the continents through his divine message. A unique philosophy that was practical enough to be followed as a simple rule or just a living attitude, was yet in fact intricate as a scientific question, which, when pondered upon, gave full-length philosophies. Buddha's message showed the way of deliverance to a king and a commoner alike, to a monk and a merchant, both, irrespective of their social or intellectual status. The core of Buddha's message was recognition of the universal compassion, the Mahakaruna, in its various constructs and forms, that which soothes the disorder in the mind, heart, and soul. This compassion resided within every human being, yet not often expressed through an individual's acts, nor frequently found in social behavior. Human being was acutely deficient in compassion due to ignorance and the rampant desire. Since the dawn of civilization, the peaceful rhythms of life were often disrupted by turmoil, strife, and conflict. Buddha connected this outward disquiet to the inner dissatisfaction within the human beings. The inner deficiencies, namely viciousness, hatred, greed, were the maladies springing from desire within the human heart. Disquieting intense emotions found expressions in actions and resulted in strife, violence, and wars. Buddha's analysis of this inner malady is encapsulated in the four noble truths, the Chatvari Satyani. There is sorrow, there is a cause of sorrow, there is cessation of sorrow, and there is a path to the cessation of sorrow. The curative aspect is the noble eightfold path, the Aryashtanga Marga, and by following which a person rectifies the self and becomes someone who does not create conflict, but rather works to eliminate strife from the society. Reawakening compassion in the heart and following ethical living was the means for the inner purification, and in this way, the inward correction was connected to bringing forth outward harmony. Buddha, despite his divinity and spiritual enlightenment, reduced the content of his message to ethical teachings, rather than soaring into the philosophical sublimity or speculation. He preferred to be socially active as a master because he chose to uplift individuals from the lowest levels to build a reformed social fabric of inclusivity and mutual interdependence. He cared for the despised women folk, the outcast, the wretched, and all categories and classes of people. His care was universal. He looked with compassion upon the hopeless and the miserable because, to him, peace of the miserable was as much important as the peace of any ambitious king. He cared for the happiness of both. He prescribed renunciation of desires to all kinds of people, from an emperor down to a beggar. He showed the way to a stable bliss and sustainable joy of living, which was different from the fleeting pleasures of the gross material enjoyment. Thus, the remedy for the end of worldly conflicts, whether between kingdoms and countries, social groups or classes, intellectuals or believers, lay in addressing the discontented, disillusioned, and disturbed human mind. The correction of the human disposition ends the outward conflicts and ushers in global peace. On many occasions recorded in Indian history, the state policy was influenced by Buddha's Dhamma towards peace and understanding. The message of Buddha was held with great respect among many important kings and rulers of India, and was respected by the most powerful of them, Bimbisar and Ajatashatru, who were contemporaries of the Buddha and the founders of the first empire in India, the Magadhan Empire, embraced Buddha's teachings. The greatest conqueror, Ashoka the Great, whose empire spanned almost the entire Indian subcontinent, underwent a profound transformation from conquering people to connecting people through his edicts, preaching Dhamma. He abandoned Jai Ghosh, that is the war cry of victory, and replaced it with Dhamma Ghosh, that is the voice of righteousness, in his reign. Other influential rulers, such as the Indo-Greek king Menander, the Kushan Kanishka the Great, the Gupta Emperor Kumar Gupta, the founder of Nalanda Mahavihar, Emperor Harshvardhan, King Dharmapal, and the other Pala dynasty, not only shaped their eras, their policy, but were also shaped by the timeless message of the Buddha. Public policy and international relations are reflections of the human objectives and framed as per the human attitude. No wonder the correction in human heart and attitude can propound benefit state policies supported of global peace. Buddha's doctrine of interdependent origination, that is Pratitya Samutpad, promotes the idea of interbeing, a mutually dependent existence, which serves as the powerful antidote to the binary logic that often fuels civilizational conflict. From this insight emerges the values of mutual respect and harmonious coexistence. The acknowledgement of the fact of interdependence is essential for valuing every relationship, whether social, between communities, between nations, between human and natural environment. The logical equation of Buddha's wisdom is mindfulness cultivates compassion, and compassion expresses in non-violence, prescribes the perfect remedy for our contemporary imperfect and ailing world. In addition to above, Buddha valued the ancient ideals of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam and Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinam, and taught the practical way and actionable values towards fulfilling these objectives. Thanks to the enduring expansion of Buddha's Dhamma, the countries of the Asian continent have long connected through this very spirit of Dhamma and enlivening today our dictum of one earth, one family, one future. In this context, in the end, ancient Nalanda Mahavihar lived as a cosmopolitan center of intellectual exchange and the ideal of peaceful living. The revival of Nalanda University in India is the reawakening of the Asian civilizational ethos about which Honorable Prime Minister Modi ji had quoted. Nalanda is not just a renaissance of India's past. The heritage of many countries of the world and Asia is linked to it. The institution follows an Asian perspective where intellectual inquiry is integrated with ethical living and spiritual reflection. The new Net Zero campus, with the application of measures of sustainability, demonstrates man living in harmony with nature and is a part of it. Truly, Nalanda is a living embodiment of the Buddhist worldview, sharing knowledge and showing mutual respect, embracing diversity and celebrating intellectual pluralism. By embracing and spreading the Buddhist legacy, we can work toward a world that truly embodies the ideals of peace and harmony. Thank you very much. May peace and wisdom guide us and bind us all together. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for those wise words. We're privileged to have with us Dr. Santosh Kumar Raut, visiting professor, Harvard Divinity School, who has done extensive research on Buddhism. Sir, I invite you to share your views.
Thank you. First of all, wish you a very happy Vesak and may peace prevail on earth. I deeply thankful to Permanent Mission of India, Ambassador Harish ji. Thank you very much, Professor Abhay Kumar Singh ji, and distinguished delegates and friends. It's my honor to address you on this significant occasion. I would like to just read the title of my talk. The lotus bloom in the troubled waters, Buddha's middle path through a fractured world, and his wisdom for global challenges. As established by the UN Resolution 15115 in the 2000, we gather here to celebrate the great day and holiest day, one of the holiest day on the planet, Vesak. Buddhism is one of India's greatest gift to the world, and both Indians and people around the globe take pride in it. Through the teachings of the Buddha, India contributes to the building of the peace in the world. I also wanted to dedicate this talk to the struggle of restoration of Mahabodhi temple in Bodh Gaya, the sacred place where Buddha attained enlightenment, which is also UNESCO's World Heritage Site and Buddhism's holiest shrine, the temple at Bodh Gaya, which at times limits Buddhists to use the place. As we gather to celebrate the Buddha's enlightenment, let us remember that the very location where this monument event occurred continues to be a site of peaceful struggle for religious freedom and cultural respect. May this reflection deepen our commitment to the principle of mutual understanding. Let us recognize that world is in a crisis. As Buddha says, the world is on fire. That was one of the truths Buddha profoundly told to the world. As we gather today, we must acknowledge this. And I wanted to divide it at a three level. First, we face the unprecedented environmental disasters that threaten the very ecosystem that remains and sustain us. Climate change, biodiversity loss, and the pollution endanger not only our physical well-being, but also the futures to come. Secondly, we confront with the ongoing threat of nuclear proliferation and the armed conflicts, which hold the potential to unleash destruction on an unimaginable scale. And thirdly, we witness the deterioration of democratic institutions and the fabric of civil society in many parts of the world, accompanied by the growing polarization and the erosion of shared values. These existential challenges are further intensified by widening economic inequalities, creating cycles of poverty and social division that fuels extremism and undermine the collective security. The Buddha's teaching of, as Harishji very rightly said, the metta, loving kindness, has never been more urgently needed as an antidote to discrimination and divisiveness. As a former UN Secretary General U Thant, himself a Buddhist, once observed, the principle of karma, that the action and has a reaction, is echoed in the UN's Charter's call for countries to live in a peace with one another. When we act with the compassion and respect, many of our national and international problems will fall into a perspective and become easier to solve. So what is Buddha's approach to the transformation? The Buddha understood meaningfully that change would come only by changing inner consciousness. As Dr. Ambedkar, one of the greatest Buddhists of the 20th century, wisely observed, that the world cannot be reformed without reformation of mind. This insight lies at the heart of Buddha's approach. The Buddha taught that transforming the world requires personal transformation, as Professor Singh Sir and Harishji both mentioned the Four Noble Truths and Eightfold Path. In 1956, in Kathmandu, addressing a world conference caught in the swing between the ideologies and violence, the constitutional maker Dr. Ambedkar evoked the Buddha spirit, calling him Prince of Peace. The principle is beautifully illustrated as again Harishji quoted in Angulimala's story. The powerful story demonstrates that even the most destructive tendencies can be transformed through the application of wisdom and compassion rather than through forceful punishments. So what the Buddha taught, the Dhamma, gives us the foundation for social change. Dhamma, the teachings of the Buddha emphasize the establishment of kingdom of righteousness, a moral foundation which peaceful society bound to build, and the Dhamma breaking down the barriers. The three characteristics, the three lakshanas that Buddha said, taught that everything is impermanent, anitya, lack of substantial identity, anatta, and cannot provide enduring satisfaction, it will deliver the dukkha. We truly understand these characteristics in our relationship of material possessions, social status, and even a sense of self that shifts dramatically. And as again, Professor Singh sir said about dependent origination, at the core of the Buddha's understanding, the recognition that everything arises from condition arising, there is no phenomena, external or internal, that does not emerge from the previous condition and provide the conditions for the future. The Sutta Nipata captures the very spirit of the Buddha's teaching, says, as I am, so these. As these are, so I am. Drawing the parallel to yourself, neither kill nor get others to kill. This recognition of our shared experience forms the basis of non-violence and compassion. There are two fundamental principles I would like to share with all of you today. Within the overall principle of conditionality, there are two aspects significantly that Buddha advocated for personal and social transformation. Firstly, the law of karma concerns with the operation of conditionality within individual consciousness. Skillful action performs with the healthful state of mind leads to the inner fulfillment. And the bad karmas delivers us the dukkha, disharmony, greed, hatred, and also violence. Secondly, the Dhammic principle transcends the personal effort, emerging decisively at the pinnacle of our karmic development. As we recognize the fluid nature of self-identity, we enter into the stream of the Dhamma that goes beyond your selfish ideal and provides the universal consciousness. These principles are so significant today. So from self-transformation, we transform the world, and I suggest here the three key areas for Buddhists can emphasize for their efforts. Firstly, empowering the marginalized and disadvantaged community. Buddha's teaching on moral responsibility offers a profound empowerment to those who are marginalized. The Buddha taught that what makes a person noble is not birth or social status, but their action and their worth. After being enlightened, this was the very first speech to the Huhunka Jati Brahmana Buddha gave. This insight liberates people from oppressive social hierarchies and empower them to take responsibilities for their circumstances. This aligns perfectly with the United Nations commitment to the inclusion and the non-discrimination as expressed in 2030 Agenda of Sustainable Development, which pledges to leave no one behind and address the inequalities and discrimination as a matter of fundamental human rights. Secondly, or the second path, transforming social attitude and values. In our modern world dominated by philosophical, I may even say spiritual materialism and consumer individualism, the Buddha's wise offers a vital alternative perspective. The prevailing nihilistic materialism, a life without higher meaning focused only on momentary pleasures. The consequence is an increasingly shallow, unsatisfying, and even amidst materials of plenty, this empty way of life is also unsustainable economically, environmentally, and psychologically. The Dhamma offers a fulfilling vision that inner satisfaction comes from how we think, how we speak, how we act. Significantly, modern research increasingly confirms that the Buddha's insight goes beyond meeting these needs. Happiness doesn't come from the material comforts. And economist Richard Lear from London School of Economics demonstrated that prosperity is attained once the materialistic comforts are attained. Increasing wealth brings diminishing returns in the well-being. Thirdly, supporting those who are aspiring for the greater life. Even every society needs individuals who dedicate themselves to living out and to live greater values, moral, aesthetic, and spiritual. When no one lives on these mountain tops, as it were, only the dark and the muddy floor of the valley seems real. A truly healthy society must provide active support and encouragement to the artists, thinkers, social activists, and spiritual practitioners who keep higher values in their life. This is not necessary for individual and social life. This is also a very need for a healthy democracy. Now, we need to create this new nucleus for the new society, what Buddha called the Sangha. To bring about the meaningful social transformation, we need to establish what might be called the the Sangha, as Buddhist teacher Sangharakshita says, nucleus for the new society. This supports the commitment to the Dhamma practice. That is the first advantage of creating Sangha. The second advantage, it exemplifies the wider society, how it should be transformed into. And thirdly, it offers a contact point for the compassion, wisdom, and healthy human relationship. So I suggest lastly 3 solutions for environmental challenge. Buddha's teaching on the interdependentness of all life provides an ethical foundation for environmental protection. When we truly understand interconnectedness and care for environment, that becomes extension of care for ourselves and for all living beings. As expressed in the earlier Vesak Day celebration 2023 at UN, Buddhist wisdom for coping with the global crisis that acknowledges the particular relevance of the Buddhist principles to our environmental challenges. Second solution for the political conflict and the nuclear threats. The Buddha's emphasis on compassion, non-violence, and the middle way offers an antidote for extremism and militarism. This is powerfully illustrated in the Buddha's story in his life itself in the Rohini River battle, when he intervened the war between Sakyas and the Koliyas. When severe drought threatens crop on both the side of the river, these neighboring clans prepare for the bloody war. The Buddha, seeing this impending violence and the consequences of it, he put himself in the position of the center of the violence and the war. Then Buddha questioned. When he questioned the leaders of both the sides, Buddha asked a profound question. What is more valuable, water or human life? He helped them to see absurdity of sacrificing countless lives of water that could never satisfy their deepest need. Through his skillful intervention and teachings, both the sides laid down their weapons and reached to the peaceful agreement of water sharing. This story resonates powerfully today as we face the conflicts over diminishing resources, territorial disputes, and the existential threat to the nuclear weapons. The Buddha went beyond war because he could see beyond war and violence, envisioning higher meanings, greater harmony, and Kalyan Mitrata, beautiful friendship among nations and between two nations. And this social polarization, practicing and cultivating the ability to listen deeply, emerge with the different viewpoints and without aggression. The connection between Buddhist principle and democratic values is powerfully illustrated in the Indian Constitution, which evokes the spirit of non-violence and fraternity. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, the chief architect of India's Constitution, anchored the spirit of democracy and fraternity in the teachings of the Buddha called Maitri, loving kindness. For Ambedkar, this was not merely a physical symmetry, but the practical foundation for the just society. And for economic inequality, today, as we are facing the increasing economic inequalities, Buddha's teaching challenges our metrics of success. Rather than measuring the progress solely through GDP and material accumulation, we might evaluate social well-being through indicators of moral development, creativity, mental well-being, and equality and beauty of human relationship. To conclude, the International Day of Vesak presents us an opportune moment to reflect on the universal values of peace, mutual respect, harmonious coexistence that the Buddha embodied. His vision for global peace through inner transformation offers a profound alternative to approaches that seeks only external structure and the structural challenge. In his final days, as recorded in the Mahaparinibbana Sutta, the Buddha did not establish a rigid hierarchy or demand allegiance to his person. Instead, he advised his followers, be your own self, be a light unto yourself, be your own refuge, seek no external refuge. He fasts to the truth as a lamp. He fasts to the truth as a refuge. This teaching emphasizes that the true transformation must come from within and not from the outside. The path to the global peace begins with the inner peace. The path to the environmental healing begins with the healing of our relationship with greed. And path to the social harmony begins with the cultivating harmony within. On this 25th anniversary of UN resolution recognizing the International Day of Vesak, dear friends, let us commit ourselves to creating a new world, like what Buddha evoked the spirit of Sukhavati, the land of bliss. Or as Guru Kabir said, Prem Nagar, city of love. As our Guru Raidasa said, Begumpura, a land without sorrow. And as Constitution maker Dr. Ambedkar evoked the spirit of Prabuddha Bharata, enlightened India, we can also create a Prabuddha Vishwa, the enlightened world, through the teachings of the Buddha. Thank you very much and wish you all the very happy Vesak.
Thank you, sir, for those wise words. May I now invite the permanent representative of Vietnam, His Excellency Mr. Hoang Giang Dang, for his intervention. Excellency, the floor is yours.
Excellencies, distinguished delegates. Over 2,600 years ago, Gautama Buddha was born, attained enlightenment, and passed into nirvana, leaving a timeless legacy of compassion, wisdom, and peace. As we gather today to commemorate the International Day of Vesak, these teachings remain a beacon for humanity. The Buddha's principles of compassion, tolerance, generosity, forgiveness, and sharing continue to inspire our collective pursuit of a world of peace, harmony, and sustainable development. It is a great honor to participate in this observance, which invites us to reflect on the enduring relevance of the Buddha's teachings amid global challenges. I wish to extend my heartfelt gratitude to Ambassador Harish, permanent representative of India, for organizing this meaningful commemoration. And I also thank the previous speakers for your insight, sharing your insights on the Buddha's teaching. Since the adoption of the General Assembly resolution, the UN's recognition of Vesak underscores the vital role of spiritual traditions in advancing the principles of the UN Charter and the Sustainable Development Goals, promoting understanding and tolerance. The world today grapples with unprecedented challenges and uncertainty: armed conflicts, humanitarian crisis, climate change, inequality, and rising tolerance. Therefore, the Buddha's teachings offer profound guidance. Peace begins within. Compassion must shape our response to suffering, and mindfulness must guide our action. They urge us to choose dialogue over division, unity over discord, and to build societies grounded in mutual understanding, equity, and respect for human dignity. Vietnam remains steadfast in embodying these ideas, guided by Buddhism principles of responsibility, harmony, and balance between humanity and nature. We actively contribute to global peace and sustainable development through multilateral cooperation, inclusive social policies, and solidarity with all nations, particularly developing countries. For Vietnam, Buddhism holds deep national and spiritual significance. For over 2 millennia, Buddhism has shaped our cultural heritage and moral foundation, rooted in the principle of protecting the nation and bringing peace to the people. Buddhist values of patriotism, tolerance, and compassion have profoundly influenced Vietnam's identity and social coherence. And this year, the Vesak celebration in Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam, just a few weeks ago, under the theme Solidarity and Tolerance for Human Dignity, Buddhist Wisdom for World Peace and Sustainable Development, was a resounding success, bringing together venerable monks, spiritual leaders, and global Buddhist communities to recall and to implement Buddha's teaching. Our efforts aligns with the Buddha's call for collective actions rooted in wisdom and compassion to address the root causes of suffering and foster a just world. On this sacred day of Vesak, let us draw inspiration from the Buddha's teaching to strengthen our collective resolve. Let us work across borders, faith, and cultures to build a world where compassion is not merely a virtue, but a cornerstone of policy and action. A world where no one is left behind in our shared journey towards sustainable development and global peace. We'd like to extend warm wishes to Buddhist communities and all who strive for peace, kindness, and understanding. May the spirit of Vesak illuminate our path toward a more just, compassionate, and peaceful world. I thank you.
Thank you, sir. I would like to now invite the permanent representative of Bhutan, His Excellency Mr. Pemalik Dabdorji, for his remarks. Excellency, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Ambassador Harish. Excellencies, Professor Singh, Vice Chancellor, Nalanda University, Professor Raut, Harvard Divinity School, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen. It is a great honor to join friends and colleagues today in celebrating the auspicious occasion of Vesak and to reflect on the profound wisdom and timeless teachings of the Buddha, teachings that resonate deeply with the founding ideals and enduring mission of the United Nations. I thank the Permanent Mission of India for organizing this meaningful discussion under the theme Teachings of Gautama Buddha, a path to internal and global peace. India holds a revered place in the spiritual heritage of humankind. It was in Bodh Gaya that Prince Siddhartha attained enlightenment and became the Buddha. These sacred sites are held in the deepest reverence by Buddhists around the world, including in Bhutan, where the teachings of the Buddha form the very foundation of our spiritual, cultural, and social identity. Indeed, Bhutan's vibrant Buddhist heritage continues to shape every aspect of our society, from our spiritual practices to our approach to development and governance, guided by our vision of gross national happiness. Vesak offers a moment of deep reflection, an opportunity to honor the life and teachings of the Buddha and to renew our commitment to the timeless values of peace, compassion, non-violence, and mindful coexistence. In today's complex and polarized world, the Buddha's message remains profoundly relevant. His teachings on the middle path of moderation, balance, ethical living, and non-violence offer enduring guidance as we confront challenges that transcend borders and test the fabric of human solidarity. Indeed, the noble teachings of the Buddha are a path not only to inner peace, but also to global peace. His insights on interdependence, mindfulness, and moral conduct can guide public policy and help shape more compassionate and inclusive societies. As we mark Vesak amidst growing global challenges, we are reminded that peace is not merely the absence of conflict, but the presence of understanding, compassion, and human dignity. The Buddha's teachings echo the very principles on which the United Nations was founded: peace, tolerance, justice, and our shared humanity. As the Buddha taught, global peace begins with inner transformation. We must strive to uphold these values not only within our own communities and nations, but through our collective efforts at the United Nations to advance peace, justice, and dignity for all. In the spirit of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, the ancient belief that the world is one family, Bhutan reaffirms its unwavering commitment to fostering dialogue, empathy, and cooperation among all peoples. May the wisdom and virtues of the Buddha continue to inspire and guide us towards a more compassionate, peaceful, and sustainable world for present and future generations. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. May I now invite the permanent representative of Thailand, His Excellency Mr. Chedchechai Vid, for his views, please. Excellency, the floor is yours.
Dear friends and colleagues, I am honored to participate in this very important conversation as we commemorate the International Day of Vesak at the United Nations headquarters. I would also like to extend my appreciation to the permanent representative of India, my dear friend Ambassador Harris, for hosting this panel discussion under the theme Teachings of Prakotama Buddha Chao, a Path to Internal and Global Peace. This theme, I trust that you agree with me, that reflects the timeless relevance of Prakotama Buddha Chao's message of harmony and understanding, especially in a world that yearns for peace amidst complexity and division. I am also grateful to the Vice Chancellor of Nalanda University for his statement on the teachings of Prabuddha Chao, especially in the context of peace. His remarks reaffirm that the wisdom of Prabuddha Chao can be interpreted and applied across science and disciplines. And of course, as we are having this conversation of the UN reform, I believe that the word that was shared by Dr. Santosh Kumar, that the world cannot reform without the reform of mind, is very true to what we are at right now, and it's impossible to not agree with this notion. Thailand actively supports Buddhist studies, both domestically and internationally, including in India. The Thai government, through the Thailand Scholarship for Nalanda University, continues to support Thai nationals pursuing studies in the School of Buddhist Studies, Philosophy, and Comparative Religions. Dear friends and colleagues, according to Prakotama Buddha Chao, the path to peace begins with ourselves. He taught us that true harmony is not merely the absence of conflict, but also the presence of compassion and mindfulness. Internal peace is the foundation upon which global peace is built. When we cultivate peace within ourselves, we contribute to peace in our communities, our nations, and ultimately the world around us. The saying that there can be no sustainable development without peace and no peace without sustainable development reflects Prabuddha Chao's teachings. His wisdom reminds us that true development is not just about economic progress, but also about ensuring peace and dignity for all. The path to peace, even within ourselves, is not always easy, as we know. Likewise, global peace can only grow in an environment where resources are protected and, again, dignity is respected. As we recall Prabuddha Chao's teachings, it is also an opportunity to reaffirm our commitment to collective global peace and renew our efforts to achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. His timeless wisdom urges us to act with compassion and mindfulness to overcome conflicts and build a sustainable future. Together, colleagues and friends, we can walk this path of understanding and compassion. Through dialogue, cooperation, and sustainable development, we can certainly build connections and a global family that goes beyond borders, belief, and traditions. May the spirit of Vesak guide us to humanity and inspire us as we continue building bridge of peace. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. May I now invite the permanent representative of Cambodia, His Excellency Mr. Chia Kyo, for his intervention. Excellency, the floor is yours.
Thank you. First of all, Ambassador Harris, permanent representative of India, Professor Singh, Vice Chancellor of Nalanda Universities, Professor Raut from the Harvard Universities, Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I would like to join our previous speakers in expressing my gratitude to the Permanent Mission of India for hosting today's commemoration of the International Day of Vesak. I also would like, I am very thankful to the views on the Buddhist teaching shared by Professor Singh and Professor Raut on these days. These occasions underscore Lord Buddha's enduring wisdoms and principles which fosters inner peace and promote a peaceful world built on love, compassion, and equal freedoms. These values transcend time and borders. First, the internal peace of our spiritual camp in the presence of life's complexities. Lord Buddha taught us that true peace begins with our mind. Through mindfulness and the middle way, or the moderate way, we cultivate inner balance and harmonies. As Dhammapada states, peace comes from within. Do not seek it without. A calm mind leads to peaceful actions and interaction, which then permit or spread throughout families, communities, and nations. This leads to my second point of the global peace. Global peace is where a nation and peoples across the world enjoys a state of harmony and absence of conflict. It is built upon the individual transformations and requires collective responsibilities. Lord Buddha's insights into the life and interconnectedness urge cooperation in addressing shared challenges, affirmed that no nations thrived in isolation. His teaching reinforced the need for understandings, compassion, unity, and cooperation in the world seeking stabilities. Mr. Chairman, Excellencies, dear panelists and ladies and gentlemen, I wish to highlight that Buddhism enshrined in Cambodia's constitution is deeply embedded in our social, cultural, and political fabrics. Yet Cambodia embraces religious freedoms, ensuring every individual follows his or her chosen beliefs. Guided by Lord Buddha's principles, our society upholds peaceful coexistence, peaceful settlements of disputes, mutual respect, tolerance, and dialogues. In conclusion, as we reflect on Vesak, let us recommit to Lord Buddha's values and principles by translating mindfulness into policies, compassion into humanitarian actions, and interdependence into international cooperation. His wisdom is not a relic of the past, but a roadmap for us to our collective futures, deeply aligned with the purposes of the United Nations and multilateralism. I thank you.
Thank you, sir. Allow me to now invite the Charge of Affairs of Nepal, Mr. Kushal Kishore Rai, for his remarks. Sir, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Distinguished Vice Chancellor of Nalanda University, respected Professor Dr. Rao, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we are immensely pleased to join Permanent Mission of India for organizing this event marking the 26th anniversary of the recognition of the International Day of Vesak adopted by the UNGA and 2569th Buddha Jayanti. I would like to deeply appreciate His Excellency Pavathaneni Harris, the permanent representative of India, for taking this initiative. The theme of this event, Teachings of Gautam Buddha, A Path to Internal and Global Peace, could not be more timely and more relevant. Excellencies, the teachings of Gautam Buddha remain the most precious and enduring gift to humanity, offering timeless knowledge, wisdom, and guidance. The Four Noble Truths, as taught by Lord Buddha, reveal the nature of suffering and provide a path to overcome it, guiding individuals toward liberation and inner peace. Similarly, Lord Buddha's Noble Eightfold Path, which are right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right concentration, and right mindfulness, cultivate wisdom, ethics, and mental discipline that guides us through the complexities of global challenges. Lord Buddha's teaching remain profoundly relevant in today's world, as these values and principles could address the universal human experience, cultivates compassion, empathy, and promotes ethical conduct and creates inner peace. Excellencies, Nepal takes great pride in being the birthplace of Lord Buddha, with Lumbini, which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site serving as a major pilgrimage site for Buddhists worldwide. Nepal is developing Lumbini as a fountain of peace and spirituality, aiming to promote timeless Buddhist values and cultural heritage, while fostering global harmony and understanding. In addition to Lumbini, Nepal is home to sacred Buddhist sites like Swambhu, Baudhanath, Thilorakot, Ramgram, Ararakot, Niglihawa, Tengboche, and Shangboche. It gives me a distinct pleasure to recall the official visit to Lumbini by the Prime Minister of India, His Excellency Sri Narendra Modi, in 2022. Lumbini has indeed become an ideal place of spiritual convergence, embodying our ideals of Bhavatu Sarva Mangalam, may all be blessed with auspicious, and Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, the world is a family, fostering global unity and peace. It was from the sacred garden of Lumbini, the birthplace of Lord Buddha, UN Secretary General His Excellency Antonio Guterres called for peace in action when he visited Nepal in October 2023. I wish to take this opportunity to invite you all to visit Lumbini and feel the serene and spiritual energy of the sacred place and experience the profound peace and tranquility that emanates from this revered place. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, the world today faces complex challenges and crises, from geopolitical tensions to rising number of conflicts and many other crises. Understanding the root of suffering can help individuals and societies move away from aggression and conflict. The principle of right livelihood encourages ethical and responsible economic practices that minimize harm to the environment and promote well-being. Lord Buddha's legacy continues to inspire millions around the world, emphasizing compassion, ethical living, and mindfulness as paths to enlightenment. In view of the importance of and inspired by the teachings of Buddha for global peace and security, Nepal's foreign policy fully embraces norms of peace, non-violence, mutual respect, and peaceful coexistence. Buddha's teachings are also deeply embedded in our cultures, values, and way of life. We deeply appreciate efforts and initiatives made by many of you represented in this room in embracing these values and spreading them to the wider world. As we mark the Vesak Day, may the teachings of Buddha guide us through the challenges of life, inspiring us to cultivate compassion, wisdom, and peace for a more harmonious world. I thank you.
Thank you, sir. I would now like to invite the Charge of Affairs of Permanent Mission of Sri Lanka, Mr. Chatura Pereira, for his intervention. Sir, the floor is yours.
Excellencies, distinguished delegates, on the occasion of the 26th anniversary of the adoption of the historic resolution 54/115 titled International Recognition of the Day of Vesak, I wish to express my sincere appreciation to the Permanent Representative of India, His Excellency Parvathaneni Harish, for organizing this important panel discussion and inviting Sri Lanka to be part of the discussion. I am extremely amused to listen to the statements by other distinguished panelists, including the Vice Chancellor of Nalanda University, Dr. Abhay Kumar Singh, and Dr. Santosh Kumar Raut from Harvard University. Timeless teachings of Lord Buddha, through character and example, provide inspiration and a comprehensive manual for self-assessment in enhancing psychological well-being and developing oneself. The principles of mutual respect, compassion, and peaceful coexistence, patience and endurance would be the cardinal guidelines of the way of life through the teachings of Lord Buddha. As we are aware, the world is in a state of great uncertainty and distress due to the multifaceted challenges of dire economic constraints, negative consequences of climate change, aggression and intolerance, as well as internal conflicts and civil unrests within states. Such uncertainties pose severe threats to the right of life of the populations, not only in a single state or a few, but the entire globe. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, the profound wisdom in the teachings of Lord Buddha, such as nonviolence and compassion, mindfulness, and not being disturbed by the Eightfold Path in Buddhism, resonate and remain valid even today in this highly sophisticated modern world, which is full of uncertainties, of extreme social divisions, geopolitical tensions, environmental degradation, and economic collapses. In a world where the very existence of the life and livelihood of people are being threatened, Lord Buddha's teachings on good governance to the rulers and leaders, often called as Dasaraja Dharma, or 10 royal virtues, based on principles of almsgiving, morality, sacrifice, straightness, kindness, restraint, non-hatred, non-violence, patience, and non-conflict, paved the way for cementing the principles of tolerance, harmony, freedom, and equality in achieving internal and global peace. As stated in one of the best-known Buddhist scriptures, Dhammapada, I quote, "Hatred is never appeased by hatred in this world. Hatred could be only appeased by non-hatred alone. This is the eternal law," end quote, is what the global citizens need to follow today in resolving the existing armed conflicts, wars, humanitarian emergencies, and to minimize such occurrences in the future, thus saving lives of thousands of human beings. In the same scripture in chapter 10, Lord Buddha said, I quote, "Every being fears punishment, every being fears death, just as you do. Hence, take yourself as an example and do not kill or cause to kill," end quote. This is indeed a philosophical ideology that holds immense importance in the modern context. Being able to empathize and relate to one's circumstances and decide the most suitable action will avoid conflicts in a great extent. At a time when the humanity's very existence is being challenged and the world is in dire need of peaceful coexistence, there is a hope that our collective endeavors to achieve the common good of humanity through following the invaluable teachings of Lord Buddha. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, the Lord Buddha has taught us the path to internal and global peace over 2,600 years ago. The teachings of Lord Buddha are not limited to a particular race, religion, country, or a region. Anyone who wishes to attain the ultimate eternal internal peace, which eventually leads to global peace, is free to follow the teachings of Lord Buddha. May the blessings of Noble Triple Gems be with you. Happy Vesak.
Thank you, sir. I am pleased to give the floor to Deputy Permanent Representative of Mongolia, Mr. Chinuke Batardin, for his remarks.
Excellencies, distinguished delegates, at the outset I wish to extend my sincere appreciation to Ambassador Harish and the Permanent Mission of India for organizing this important discussion entitled Teaching of Gautama Buddha, Path to Internal and Global Peace, which topic is much relevant, pertinent to today's world. Thank you, Professor Singh, Professor Raut, for your wise remarks and words. Timeless teachings of Buddha continue to serve as a profound source of wisdom, guiding both individuals and nations toward inner harmony and global peace. Buddhism has played a central role in Mongolia's culture for over 400 years, deeply shaping our worldview and values. Since the 16th century, when Buddhism was officially adopted as the state religion, it has influenced nearly every aspect of Mongolian life, spiritual, social, and philosophical. Teachings of Buddha have offered moral framework grounded in compassion, mindfulness, and the pursuit of peace. Mongolian Buddhism reflects a rich integration of Mahayana Buddhism, creating unique tradition shaped by our history, nomadic heritage, and interactions with other spiritual beliefs. It emphasizes not only personal spiritual development, but also the well-being of the wider community. Our monasteries have long served as centers of education, art, medicine, meditation, and social support. These teachings are deeply tied to our reverence to nature and the environment, urging us to live in harmony with all living beings. Mongolia continues to celebrate this tradition of religious harmonies, with Buddhism playing a key role in maintaining social cohesion and peace within our society. Teachings of Buddha continue to inspire efforts towards inner peace and moral integrity. Mongolia's broader efforts towards peace and sustainability are deeply aligned with Buddhist teaching. As we approach the 70th conference of the parties to the United Nations Convention to Combat Desertification to be held in Mongolia in August 2026, we recognize the connection between Buddhist respect for nature and our commitment to environmental stewardship. We also see the preservation of our environment as a reflection of our spiritual duty to protect all life on earth. In today's world, where conflict and division persist, teachings of Buddha offer vital path forward. His message of inner peace, compassion, and ethical living is as relevant as ever. Let's reaffirm our shared commitment to the path of peace, both within ourselves and our collective actions. In the spirit of the Buddhist teachings, may we continue to build a more just, compassionate, and harmonious world. I thank you for your attention.
Thank you, sir. I would now like to invite the Deputy Permanent Representative of Lao PDR, Mr. Kamphon Philakone, to share his views. So.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, Excellencies, distinguished delegates, at the outset, I wish to express my sincere appreciation to the Permanent Mission of India for organizing this meaningful event to commemorate the International Day of Vesak, which honors the birth, enlightenment, and passing of the Lord Gautama Buddha. Today, the world is facing with various challenges such as conflict, rising poverty, hunger, climate change, humanitarian emergencies, and social injustice. Many of these issues are partly from our human creeds, lack of compassion, tolerance, and mutual understanding. In the face of such challenges, the teachings of the Buddha remain profoundly relevant. His message of nonviolence, mindfulness, compassion, ethical conduct, and inner peace provide us with a moral compass to navigate these complex world. These values are not only spiritual, they are foundational to building peaceful, just and sustainable society. In this regard, we must renew our commitments to peace, not as just distant idea, but as a practical and daily act of ethic decision-making, inclusive dialogue, and responsible leadership. Peace and sustainable development are deeply interconnected. Without peace, there can be no lasting development, and without justice, equality, and environmental sustainability, peace cannot be sustained. The Buddha's principle, ahimsa, non-harming, encourages us to resolve conflict through dialogues, to protect the vulnerable, and to foster community rooted in dignity and respect for all beings. These teachings are closely aligned with the core principle of the United Nations Charter and the Sustainable Development Goals. In conclusion, the teachings of Gautama Buddhas are not just relics of the past. They are living principles that can guide our action today. As we celebrate Vesak, let us reflect the Buddha's path to enlightenment and recommit ourselves to applying his teaching in our life. I thank you.
Thank you, sir. We're happy to open the floor for interventions or comments, views from the audience. Russian Federation, you may have the floor, please.
Thank you very much. We would like to congratulate our friends with Happy Vesak and thank our friends from Indian Mission and Your Excellency, Mr. Harsh, for organizing this event. Russia is proud to respect different cultures and religions and is proud to have a large number of Buddhists in our country, as you know, over 1 million, and Buddhist famous schools and organizations. And our president is regularly congratulating Buddhists with their celebrations, and underlines the important contribution that Buddhists make in the interreligious and intercultural connections within countries and between countries. So I would like to reiterate this recognition, and I also like to echo what His Excellency PR of Thailand said. We're very happy to discuss today the focus on inner side of people, because there are schools of thought, to put it diplomatically, who like to talk about reforms, external changing. But it is really important to take about internal changing, and that is what's important. And we're also happy that we have moments to discuss that. And last but not the least, in the times when there are a lot of peacemakers, there are a lot of fake peacemakers and true peacemakers. So we are happy to celebrate today the Buddhism as a real peacemaking philosophy. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. If there are no more interventions, yes, please.
Ambassador Harish, first of all, thank you for doing this. Any year is a good year to look into Buddha's teachings, but this year is particularly so, whether it's from Ukraine, Russian war, the Gaza, or more recently in the country of India. My president says there should be peace through strength. An open question really is that strength inner strength, external strength, or both? I suspect it may be both. But to follow up on our Russian colleagues' point, there really should be no false peacemakers, because that's a crime against humanity. We should only have honest peacemakers. And so we look forward to more peace. But over some tea or coffee, we should discuss whether that peace through strength, how that can be embellished through Buddhism, because really I have great respect for Buddhism. And I sometimes think it's above my pay grade as a lawyer, because our law is Judeo-Christian, and we're based on delivering punishment as justice to the bad and remedy to the victims. So I've always admired Buddhism as something higher than normal, and I thank you for doing this.
Thank you, sir. So, with Excellencies and dear colleagues, today's active engagement has given us an insight into Lord Buddha's teachings and principles that can help us find a path to peace. Allow me to take this opportunity to thank Dr. Abhay Kumar Singh, the Interim Vice Chancellor of Nalanda University, for joining us virtually. We are also thankful for the presence of Dr. Santosh Kumar Raut, visiting professor at Harvard Divinity School, for his insights and views on the subject. I'm also grateful to the permanent representatives who readily consented to be part of the panel discussion. And finally, the permanent mission would like to express our heartfelt gratitude for the enthusiastic and active participation of the audience in the discussions today. This brings today's discussion to a close. Thank you, one and all.